What's up, guys? This is photographer filmmaker Reiki, and today I'd like to chat with you about the gear you'll find on my desk. And many of you have been curious about the tools used by professional photographers and filmmakers, especially when it comes to post-production. So I thought I'll take you on a little tour of my workspace. I've been getting a lot of questions about the tools I use for pre-production and post-production, excluding the actual shooting process. Therefore, I want to share some insights into my gears. Keep in mind that these are my personal preferences and prices may vary in different markets. Since these are the actual tools I use, some of them may show signs of wear and tear. So let's start with the Wacom Intuos Pro PTH 660 model, commonly known as a pen tablet. If you are involved in photo editing, this tool is absolute game changer. It's essential for achieving precision and accuracy during the post-production phase. While I can't recall the exact purchase date, I believe it's been about 3 to 4 years since I acquired it. Prior to this model, I used an older Wacom version. Photo editing is like drawing, so having a tablet like this is super important for making detailed edits. In terms of pricing, it's around $380. While I've mostly used Wacom tablets, I've been thinking about trying the SenseLab pen tablet. The SenseLab tablet is competitively priced with Wacom, but offers 2 pens, superior components, and a slicker design. What's cool is that its pad aspect ratio matches most monitors perfectly, which is 16:9, unlike Wacom's slightly wide ratio. This means that when you draw a perfect circle on the tablet, it will appear as an exact circle on the screen. SenseLab ensuring highly accurate tracking and work. Wacom has fantastic pen pressure and sensitivity, which is why I've stuck with it. But SenseLab is said to be just as good in this department. While I haven't had the opportunity to try out yet, if you are planning to invest in a pen tablet, I suggest considering both brands. Healthy competition is always beneficial for consumers. Now, there are also display tablets available on the market. However, from a personal standpoint, they don't align with my needs. They tend to occupy a substantial amount of space, require a constant power source, so it's wired all the time, and aren't particularly portable. This makes them less suitable for someone like me who frequently travels for projects or works on location. I find using a pen tablet to be a more versatile and flexible option, allowing me to work comfortably even at cafes from time to time. Now let's talk about the toolbox. I have the Toolbox Elite limited edition modern smoke black translucent model. Back in 2016, when Toolbox was first introduced on Kickstarter, I was one of the first supporters. It took about 7 months, but I finally got one of the oldest toolboxes in Korea. Over the years, a Toolbox has gone through a few versions, from the original 2016 model to Toolbox Neo in 2020, and then Toolbox Elite in 2021. Surprisingly, its design has stayed quite similar because it was initially designed with a great attention to ergonomics. Toolbox is a significant tool for me and is easily to carry around. While it might not be a must-have, it definitely boosts my productivity. Toolbox has various wheels and buttons, each with different shapes and tactile feedback. It's usable as it is, but I've personalized it with my most used shortcuts. For example, I can execute commands like Command Shift A in Photoshop with a single button press, with buttons dedicated to basics like the spacebar, Command, Alt, and function keys. I can edit photos without needing the keyboard or the mouse. This setup lets me keep one hand on the toolbox and the other on the pen tablet, so I can work without taking my eyes off the screen. This really helps me concentrate, work faster, and be more productive. Toolbox lets you set up different shortcuts for different apps, making it even more versatile. When picking editing tools, consider muscle memory. Some tools have cool features and lights on their touchpads, but I avoid them because they're not very intuitive. As I mentioned earlier, working without looking at device relies on muscle memory. You need to remember the button positions by touch. Tools with touchpad or display might require you to keep glancing at them to find and press buttons, which can slow you down. That's why I recommend tools with physical buttons. I personally prefer the Toolbox Elite model with Bluetooth to avoid dealing with wires. It costs around $270. Next, the Logitech MX Master 3 mouse and MX Keys keyboard. They are both Bluetooth devices, so no more tangled wires. If you use a MacBook, you probably skip the Apple Magic Mouse because it's not the most comfortable. The MX Master series is designed with care for designers and professionals. Besides the top center scroll wheel, it has a horizontal wheel on the left and well-placed buttons that are easy to reach without stretching, whether you are walking or browsing the web. You can assign various commands, making your workflow smoother. Each program can have its own shortcuts, and the Logi Option app lets you customize them. I find this mouse super comfy, and I have even given it to my team members. Now, most of them use it too. As for the MX Keys, it's a top-notch keyboard, known for its pleasant typing feel, slim design that's easy on your wrist, and the ability to connect to and switch between the three devices with one button. Before, I used a Keychron keyboard because I wanted a satisfying typing experience, including the sound of keystrokes, you know that. But Keychron keyboards are a bit thick and can cause wrist fatigue. Plus, they are a bit noisy for studio or office. I prefer keyboards with a number pad on the right side because they are handy for me. MX Keys, with its sleek design and comfy typing feel, is my favorite keyboard. Many of my team members like it too. The MX Keys costs around $110, while the MX Master mouse costs around $100. Next, let's talk about my laptop. It's the 2023 Apple MacBook Pro 16-inch M2 Max model, equipped with a 2TB SSD and 96GB of memory. Sure, there are better desktop computers and all-in-one computers out there, but as you know, we do a lot of traveling. Plus, we need to use our devices on different locations all the time. That's why I use the best laptops I can find, ones that are both portable and powerful. Since I often use it on the go and there's a risk of bumps and shocks, I make sure to put it in a bumper case for data safety. Keep in mind that using a case can sometimes hinder cooling, so it's essential to choose one with good airflow to prevent overheating. Excessive heat can harm your laptop's performance and lifespan. This MacBook is fantastic for tether shooting in the field. It offers fast and stable tethering speeds, making it a breeze for further adjustment and video editing. Plus, its speedy rendering capabilities help reduce export times, which is a big deal for professionals. When it comes to video work, source files tend to be heavy, so having a laptop with solid performance is crucial. Now, I won't dive into all the technical specs of the MacBook because there are plenty of information available. Next, let's talk about the monitor I use for my work. I have two LG 32UL950 monitors, and in total, I use 3 monitors, including my laptop. Since its initial release in 2018, this monitor has been incredibly popular among professionals. In fact, it was so highly regarded that it became challenging to find one for purchase. As time has passed, the price has actually increased. I remember it being around $1,400 when I bought it, but now it seems to be priced at around $2,500 due to it being discontinued. One standout feature of this monitor, called Daisy Chain, is that you can connect it to your laptop using just one cable through the Apple Thunderbolt system. This not only lets you connect 2 monitors at the same time, but also charges your laptop. It supplies power at 60 watts, although the charging capability may vary depending on your laptop model. While it may not be perfect for all laptops, it's undoubtedly a plus point. They offer fantastic color quality and a super sharp 4K UHD nano IPS display. This monitor covers sRGB at 135% and DCI P3 at 98%. sRGB is a common color profile used in the most everyday devices like phones and TVs. So when we say this monitor covers 135% of sRGB, it means they can display colors even more vividly than the standard. DCI P3, which is Digital Cinema Initiative's Protocol 3, on the other hand, is color profile developed mainly for the movie industry. It covers a broader range of colors than sRGB, making it ideal for professionals who need precise color representation. Apart from that, these monitors also have features like blue light reduction for eye comfort and some cool gaming features, but I'll skip those details for now. Now, let's talk about ultra-wide monitors and curved monitors. Ultra-wide monitors, which are wide horizontally, might not be the best fit for projects that involve both photos and videos. They don't align well with the trend of vertical content like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Curved monitors, while they look cool, can sometimes distort the accurate display of photos and videos. So I wouldn't recommend them for photographers and videographers. While there are high-end monitors brands like BenQ and AZO that professionals use, and I have one in our studio, but I personally recommend LG monitors. They are trusted by Hollywood productions and colorists. When choosing a monitor, make sure to consider your specific needs, like resolution and color accuracy. And next, here's the Blackmagic Designs DaVinci Resolve Micro Panel and Speed Editor. I always use DaVinci Resolve for video editing. The DaVinci Resolve Panners comes in 3 main products, with big differences in price and physical size. The micro panel is a great tool because it's affordable and portable for when I'm traveling. Bigger panels let you work without touching the keyboard, but setting up a workstation for them can be very expensive unless you are a professional color studio. These 2 products have too many buttons and functions to explain in detail here, so I'll just highlight their advantages. When doing a color grading with a mouse, it's hard to get precise color values and fine adjustments. Especially on a small laptop screen, even a slight touch with the mouse can make the dials move too much or in the wrong direction. Micro panels physically replace these virtual dials and wheels, so you can make detailed adjustment by feel. While the micro panel lacks a button to create new nodes, it's a shame, but it allows you to adjust the most important elements physically, like color, contrast, lift, gamma, gain, saturation, hue, and exposure, almost everything. The physical ball and the wheel also add to the fun of the work. After shooting video, when you sit down for post-production, you often spend a lot of time just cutting and pasting with the mouse. The Speed Editor lets you quickly check clips with the jog wheel, cut the parts you want to use and move them to the timeline without hassle. It doesn't need a wire because of Bluetooth function. It helps you insert clips where you want them with each different buttons. Using these tools can reduce physical fatigue, so I can recommend them. If you are interested, you can search for a detailed explanation of each button and functions on the official website or YouTube. Now, let's talk about the Samsung T7. Nowadays, everyone knows about SSDs. I used to carry around HDDs when shooting a few years ago in London and New York. I remember using Lassie's Orange HDD, which was known for being robust and excellent back then. Now, many professional production use Samsung T7. When using HDDs, it took a long time to transfer video clips or photos. So I used to start transferring data before going to bed and check it in the morning. Since SSDs came out, you can transfer a gigabyte of video clips in just a second. Because of its speed, Samsung T5 and T7 are used by video creators like they use SD cards in their cameras. You can connect the SSD directly to your computer and work in programs like DaVinci Resolve or video editing software. Working directly from an HDD was too slow, making it impossible to use in this way. The price of SSDs varies depending on the capacity, ranging from $80 to $180. Samsung T7 has improved efficiency in storing data and working in all aspects. And a few days ago, while I'm filming my YouTube episode, I heard that Samsung T9 was recently released, which is even twice faster than T7. If you are looking at SSDs, then you should consider getting T9. Now, I will briefly introduce some products that, while not extremely essential, but can be quite handy. First, I have the Shure MV7 microphone right here and Sony's WH-1000XM5 headphone. I am not a streamer or a live broadcaster, but having a high-value microphone like this on your desk can be very useful. What sets it apart from other condenser microphone is that you can connect it directly to your laptop via USB. No need for additional audio interfaces. It's as easy to use as plugging in earphones, making it versatile. So whether you are frequently doing online video meetings like Zoom, or need clear and crisp audio for YouTube recording or other tasks, this dynamic microphone sounds quality and performance are exceptionally impressive, especially considering its price, which is around $249. Additionally, we have Sony's WH-1000XM5 headphones. This is the product for which we personally planned and filmed an advertisement when they were newly launched. This headphone is known for their lightweight comfort, excellent noise cancelling capabilities, great sound quality, and sleek design. They provide substantial assistance when you need to focus on projects or video work. And this is priced at around $398. Moving on, I have Laja Furniture's dual motor electric desk and the City's T8 chair. People who spend long hours sitting often encounter common issues like poor posture and back pain. Ideally, it's good for your back to stand up time to time. And an electric desk allows you to freely adjust the desk height, so sometimes I work while standing, which can be quite enjoyable. An electric desk is beneficial for both your health and the little joys of work. This electric desk is from the Korean brand Laja Furniture and is priced at $580. Korean chair brand Cities is well known for its comfortable chairs, and while the T80 model may be a bit pricier than the T40 and T50 series, it offers various angle adjustment, comfortable cushioning, and excellent lumbar support. When you want to relax, leaning back and then returning to an upright position provides a wonderful sensation. This Korean-made Cities T80 chair is priced at $600. For speakers, I use Raze's Normal Chroma. While having a separate subwoofer can deliver excellent bass sound, it can be challenging to use in multi-story spaces like our studio. This is why I use the Razer speaker, which is compact but still provides excellent raw frequency sounds and sound quality. Its subtle RGB lighting on the bottom can set the mood effectively and is priced at around $150. Lastly, let's talk about accessories. These are items that you should consider having even without a specific brand preference. Firstly, there's the monitor arm. The brand isn't a big concern as long as it performs its function well. Monitor arms can elevate your monitor and laptop, saving desk space and allowing you to maintain good posture while working, reducing physical fatigue. I have a total of 4 arms on my desk, 2 for monitors, 1 for the laptop, and 1 for the microphone. They are excellent for space management and maintaining a comfortable posture. Next is the organizer. A well-chosen organizer can serve as decoration and help you quickly find or tidy up frequently used small items, such as remote controls, pens, or rulers, and small things, antique tech. And there is a small cup holder which I can put my drink, and sometimes I can hang my headphone here. Additionally, using a monitorizer creates extra space, allowing you to neatly organize small tools, glasses, SSDs, my filters, and more. You can find these rises on anywhere at around $20. A monitor light with blue light blocking capabilities is another helpful item. It can enhance your focus during work. Whew. Well, that's a brief overview of some of the essential tools I use for my work. If you guys are interested in any specific product, I encourage you to look at more detailed reviews and tutorials on their respective official websites and other YouTube channels. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I'll see you in the next episode.